Hi, Siddharth. It's Dad. I've decided to come to LA. I'll be there all week.
So you haven't seen him since your wedding?
Yep.
Look, I'll stay in a motel if this is an inconvenience.
Come on. So why'd you come?
Well, it's been a long time. I came to see how you two were doing. You never visit.
So if you get a divorce, where are you gonna live, huh?
I'm not getting a divorce. We're just taking some time apart.
If there's one thing I know about marriage, it's that you need leverage in divorce. Keep the cat.
Where is she?
Ellie is visiting her mom.
And people are gonna come and go, but the houses that they live in stick around for years later.
No, Ash, life's not all about work. Where was she 30 years ago?
Did you ever try to find me?
You came for her, didn't you?
You know, Vedic philosophy, there are phases in life. You're in the second phase, work and family.
Well, I don't think we're ready for kids yet.
Why not? Everything all right in the bedroom?
Welcome to the UKAsian.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. Brahmin Bulls, the caste issue is such a hot topic at the moment. I mean, please explain, what does Brahmin Bulls mean?
It's that's a tough one. The director, Mahesh Pailor, who also co-wrote the script with his wife, Anu Pradhan, we couldn't come up with a name for the longest time. The longest time it was called the Untitled Sendhil Ramamurthy Project. That's what it was called. Mahesh had a dream one day, and he called me up and he said, I think the title should be Brahmin Bulls. And I was like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand that. And he said, well, I think Brahmin, Indian Brahmin, and then bulls, the father and the son are butting heads like bulls. And I was like, okay. And it's also, they're from Boston, and you have that term Boston Brahmin, so that can work as well. I was like, I find it tough. I was like, I'm still lobbying for Untitled Sendhil Ramamurthy Project. I think it's got a really great ring to it, but nobody went for it. And quite frankly, I couldn't come up with anything better. And so Brahmin Bulls it was, and it seems to have stuck. I mean, the alliteration of the Brahmin Bulls is quite nice. And as far as an actual meaning, though, to your question, I'm not sure what the actual meaning is, but it just seems to work on the poster. So we're going with it. Yeah.
Great, fantastic. It's a very unconventional father and son story. What drew you to the role?
My character, Sid Sharma, he's very different from any character that I've played. I tend to play very confident characters who are, have a very definite path. They know that they're headed down. And Sid doesn't have that. Sid is completely rudderless. He's his job is not going well. His marriage is falling apart. His relationship with his best friend, played by Justin Bartha, is a bit of a mess. And then, as we come to see, his relationship with his father is incredibly strained. And for the first half of the movie, we're not sure why that is. We just know immediately from when these two meet each other in the film that they haven't seen each other for 2 years and that they do not get along. And I'd never played a character like that who just is so unsure of anything in his life. And I found it really scary because how do you play somebody who doesn't know what they're doing? How do you do that? And it was one of those things where, because it scared me, I thought, well, this is the role to do. And so I just kind of jumped into that. From that point of view, this character was really appealing to me. And then the tennis came into it. I'm a huge tennis fan and nut, and I played competitive tennis from a very young age. And Mahesh wrote tennis into it as a kind of a link between the father and son, between my character and Roshan's character, as well as a real point of contention for them stemming back to his childhood. So that was another appealing thing. And then just working with Mahesh again. I did my first kind of on-camera anything with Mahesh. It was a 10-minute short film that we did right after I left drama school here in London. I went and shot this 10-minute black and white short film in Maine with Mahesh. And it just kind of felt full circle to come back to it and to be doing a feature film now.
Fantastic. I was actually very impressed with your tennis. Didn't know that. I thought that he's playing like a pro in the film. That was really, really impressive.
I should have lied to you now and just said I'd never played before, and I just trained specifically for the film and just went all Daniel Day-Lewis on it and became a pro. But no, I've been playing since I was 5. Yeah.
Brilliant. The film also shows a very unusual relationship between a father and a son. What's your relationship like with your dad?
Well, that was the other thing. It was very different. I have a really great relationship with my father, and so that was, just again another area that I'd never explored before. On other things that I'd done on Heroes, the death of my father is kind of the catalyst for this. For my character in Heroes. In Covert Affairs, I suppose I didn't have a great relationship with my father in Covert Affairs, but it was really not something that was very explored. And whereas with this, it was a deep-seated thing, and it came from a very real place of pain based on the death of my character's mother and, the death of my father's wife for him, and how it had scarred the two of them. And really the film is about these two guys coming together and repairing their relationship. It's the only way they can move forward as individuals is to repair this core central relationship as father and son. And that's what we were trying to get at.
You are obviously from Indian origin, born and brought up in America. What was your life like being an Indian American? What values impacted your life more personally, Indian or American?
I mean, out of necessity, it was a hybrid. I grew up in a very Indian home. It was my father wasn't very religious at all. My mother was Hindu, so my sister and I were raised Hindu. And it was a very Indian home in that sense. We had Indian sensibilities, Indian customs, Indian values. But then, obviously, going to school in the United States, I had very American influences. So, I definitely went through that period where I was confused, which one is it? Where do I fall in this whole thing? And I had the disadvantage of not speaking an Indian language because my mother speaks Tamil, my father speaks Kannada, so they spoke to each other in English. And so my sister and I kind of lost out on that aspect. I speak like a few words of Kannada and a few words of Tamil, nothing, I can't even get by in either language. And so that's something now that I really regret, and I feel like a real sense of loss about that. But when I was growing up, I didn't really, just because I didn't really know any different. So yeah, I mean, it was a hybrid. It was a hybrid of Indian culture, Indian customs, and American Western.
The issue of elderly parents being left on their own, especially by the immigrant community, is becoming a huge issue. Parents are now on their own. I mean, do you see this as an issue? And do you think something should be done about it? I mean, should NRIs be bringing them over with them or something?
You know, it's something that I saw with my parents because, you know, my grandparents came to live with us. You know, when they started to get old and unable to take care of themselves. You know, my grandparents were with us. They came to the States. That was just, it was never a question. The problem is that they didn't want to be there. They wanted to be in India, you know, and then it just kind of became a bummer, you know, like my grandparents always talking about how they wanted to die in India. And I was like, well, how about just not dying? Like, let's go down that route instead of like trying to decide where you're going to die. And ultimately it came down to, they didn't want to be in the United States. They were happy to be there, you know, while we were growing up a little bit and stuff. But, you know, once they got fixated on dying, it became about going back to India and making sure that they died in India. So I don't know what the answer to that is, to be honest. I mean, I think that it's on an individual basis. I think that, you know, certainly for my parents, you know, are pretty well ensconced in the States. So I should imagine that they will want to continue being. They've been there since the mid-'60s. You know, living in the United States. They've lived in the U.S. way longer than they ever lived in India. So I think it's on a case-by-case basis, really. But, you know, I used to find it really disturbing, actually. My grandparents always talking about wanting to make sure they were back in India when they were dead. I was just like, it didn't compute. Maybe it will when I get older. I don't know.
One of the scenes that really touched me in the film was when Mr. Seth tells you that when he finds out that, you know, you and your partner have split, and then he says, oh, you should have told me, I could have made the call, and, you know, maybe. Do you think it's a very Indian thing, and do you see it as an advantage or disadvantage? Because, or do you feel that Indian marriages last longer because there is that third-party interference?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I can't say, you know, that because, you know, I know Indian marriages that are really great and I know Indian marriages that are really bad, you know, and so I don't know that that's a cultural thing. That just seems to be a human thing to me. And
would you allow your dad to you know, advise on your marriage? No,
I wouldn't. And my dad would never do that anyway. He's just not that guy. He's very, you know, he kind of just keeps himself to himself, and he'll come in with little pearls of wisdom every once in a while. But it's never about my relationships. I've always been very kind of independent on that kind of thing. But you know, I definitely related to, you know, Roshan's character coming in and saying that, but not necessarily from being an Indian parent, just being a parent. You want to help. If you see your child is hurting, and you want to be able to fix it. You know, it's like, you know, a 5-year-old falling off a bike and starts crying, you immediately want to go up and give your child a kiss and help your child. And that's how I saw it. I didn't see it really as like an Indian father coming in. I saw it as a father trying to help a son who's in pain, and I could relate to that.
Another thing is that we as children, you know, we like to take decisions about our own life and don't want any interference. But at the same time, if we see our parents doing something out of the line, we start judging them. Do you see that that's a problem? Because again, with your father, Mr. Seth, because you were hurt because of your mother, but he had, you know, a reason to go out and have an affair. Yeah. So do you think we judge too much sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just human nature, unfortunately. Or you know, for sometimes you do need to be judged. You do need to be told, listen, what you're doing is not okay. But it's very much a thing where, you know, again, it's individual. It's individual. I don't know that there's any one set answer to that.
Just before I end, last couple of questions. Please tell me a little bit about your role in Heroes Reborn.
Yeah, I'm here in London. I'm shooting a series right now for Sky called Lucky Man, and I'm at the same time shooting Heroes Reborn in Toronto. So I've been flying back and forth between the two. I'm reprising my role in Heroes. I'm doing a little arc on it. I was very limited because I'm a series regular character on the series here in the UK, and so it was really about what I could fit in for Heroes. So I definitely appear in it. I am definitely doing narrating the series again. I'm actually going there to do it as soon as I finish with you at the recording studio in Soho here. I don't know what else I can say about Heroes. I have no idea when it's coming to the UK. I know it premieres at the end of this month in the US, but I don't know anything about a UK release. I can't imagine that it won't release in the UK at some point.
It better. Now that you've done a few Asian projects, do you see Bollywood as your next stop?
Well, I've done 2 projects in India. I did a movie called Shor in the City, which did really well in India, and I just shot half of a movie in Hyderabad last summer. It's called A Momentary Lapse of Reason, with Aditya Bhattacharya is the director, and it's me and Kunal Nair, play brothers. Kunal Nair from The Big Bang Theory, I don't know. And we've shot half of it, and the other half of the movie is set in Los Angeles, and we're supposed to pick up the shoot in LA at the end of this year. So let's see, I think there's like some finance issues happening, so if they can get the money together, we'll go finish the film in LA at the end of the year.